my back is super tight, so in a bit of a strain yesterday. On the did a 150 front squat for a double on the second rep. I strained my back a little bit, which um, basically 24 hours ago. So it's still quite sore and tight, but it's been progressively getting better. Taking some ibuprofen and stuff, so that's helped it a bit. I'm hoping. I've been warming up a little bit. I've been stretching kind of throughout the day. I took a hot shower before I came out here to help it loosen up as much as possible. I think it's musculature because it is getting better pretty rapidly, and that's usually if it's a muscle strain or something like that, and that's usually the case. So we're still going to try to snatch and clean a jerk, but very, very likely that I won't be pushing them very hard, and I will be trying to make sure that I don't explode or obviously make anything worse. But thankfully, the goal was not to get up to heavy weights in the snatch and clean jerk today or the back squat, but I will hopefully be able to do all three movements. So I'm hoping to probably not do multiple singles in the snatch. Honestly, might probably just do singles and see what I can get up to. 90 or 100. Kind of depends on how loose my back ends up feeling and how warmed up it's able to get. But like I said, I've been moving around a little bit with the bar and squatting a little bit, and it's generally not. There's no like twinges or anything that would really limit my range of motion. My range of motion itself isn't limited from the soreness or anything. So the biggest thing is it will sometimes kind of feels like it's spasming a little bit. So that's definitely is more evidence that it's definitely musculature in nature. So it makes me think that I'm not really at too much of a risk of using it. If it was any sort of like crunch or twinge, or if I was like couldn't finish the lift I was doing on whatever day, then I would be more concerned about it. But sometimes stuff like that happens. It's kind of annoying because I generally don't feel bad, and it's just like one thing that's like kind of all encompassing. Like a lot of movements you do obviously involve your back. So we're gonna throw the wraps on. I'm gonna warm up at the bar a little bit more. Try to do some overhead squats. Like I said, been moving around a bit, so I'm not entirely cold right now. And I took a hot shower before I came out here to really warm up like my body as much as possible for trying to move. And was stretching a little bit even before I came out here. So done basically everything I can to make it possible to train decent. So I'm hoping that it does go well. So yeah, get these on. It's like 55, 58 degrees outside, so it's not too cold, which is not too bad, which is good. And so we'll make sure that, we're cautious. But lifted fine yesterday. Even the front squat didn't feel like it moved too terribly until I had that little strain. So we'll just see what we can do. Oh. All right. Still a little tight, still a little sore, but it's aight. It's not it's only the bar. But we'll try 40 and just keep moving up. So the feeling I'll be able to snatch fine. I don't know if I'll be able to do much else. So get the wraps on and then put 40 on there. Nothing else is sore, but kind of just focus on making sure I don't aggravate anything. But because it's musculature, there's just probably a good chance I'm just not going to be able to exert as much force. And honestly, the most discomfort was when I just did the regular back squat there. As part of that warm up. So make sure that potentially being really cautious on the back squat. So I'm not destroying myself. But gonna do 40. Just kind of hope everything just, doesn't get aggravated. That's kind of the key for this day. Thankfully, I'm not trying to lift heavy today anyway, so kind of works out. Alright. Didn't feel anything on the snatch, which is interesting. Just practice the lifts. That's really the sorry, let me put my glasses on to be able to read. Type lot. But as far as so exercise, focus on sets, reps, accessories. There's not any sort of secret. Literally just do the training and just practice the lifts. Film it. Try to get better at it. Especially if you're new, the strength that you have is going to far excess your technique. So try to improve technique. And I mean, it's kind of a never-ending battle to always improve technique. But honestly, more sets, lower reps. You don't need to do high reps in the weightlifting movements really ever. And just focus on trying to move efficiently. And that's really, I mean, that's the Olympic weightlifting in a nutshell. Still try to get stronger with squats and stuff, but when you're learning the lifts, just learn the lifts. Try to get better at them. It's not it's hard to do, but it's not rocket science in that regard. So just practice a lot. Try to do, every time that you train, do the lifts, and it's just do it for a while because it takes a while to get even decent at them. But you get a coach, or you just get a camera. One reason to get a coach is if you're not athletic enough to look at yourself move and try to make adjustments. So if you're not really coordinated and you're pretty unathletic and you're not able to learn new physical movements, then a coach will be really helpful. But if you have any level of coordination and self-awareness, using a camera will allow you to make a lot of progress. And if you really don't care about competing, you're just lifting for fun, then there's not reason to get a coach. Yeah, I've competed before, and I've never had an actual coach, so certainly not a mandatory thing to do the lifts. You just gotta have a desire to do them. Felt a little bit more on that one, but nothing too bad. Nothing too bad. But Monty is just do some snatches and clean jerks. Try not to aggravate my back. So far, so good. Let's see how 80 feels. The original plan is to do 90 for 5 singles because this is like the reset after kind of building up for a little bit. I don't know if I'll do 5, but we'll do this 80 here and then see how 90 feels and do a couple singles there. If it does feel fine, then clean jerks 125 for 3 singles in theory. But if my back feels weird, we'll cut that down and then back squats, which that's really far up into the air. But oh Monte, it's a I don't know favorite lifters. There's no one in particular that I would say top 3 that's different than a lot of people, like Ilya Ilin and Lasha. I think those guys are cool, but it's another one, Ruslin or Dienhoff or something like that. But let's go ahead and try this 80. Felt similar to 60 as far as the back, but I feel good about doing 90. All right, Walmart's gaslighting me. All right, we gotta turn off. My phone's vibrating too much. Right now, just ollie. Used to play baseball and basketball, but did powerlifting. Now I just do weightlifting. So as long as everything feels like the thanks. Let's hope that I can do 5 singles here without aggravating anything, but felt my back a little bit, but wasn't anything when I was actually catching the lift, which would be where I'd be more worried. So, be all right. A little bit out in front, but that's why we practice singles. It was a little apprehension about going under the actual lift. What is? It's hard to see the thumbnails here. Yeah, I strained my back yesterday doing a front squat. So nothing, not like just a muscle strain. So it's nothing that's like, obviously I'm still lifting, so it's nothing that's limiting me in that regard. But no sort of, shooting pain or extreme pain like that. It's just really sore. So, well, I think I did tear something. Although it sounds dramatic to say tear, but that's why I say strain, because I felt it strain as I was doing the lift. So I think it's just a musculature thing, because it's felt better from yesterday, and it's not feeling worse as I'm lifting. So it tells me that it's just muscle. Obviously, if it was like shooting pain or joint pain, it's a little harder to work through, but a muscle strain is kind of similar to being really sore from lifting. So it just tells me that I can't, even though I wasn't planning on it to go, I wouldn't be able to go super heavy. But that was one single, so it's hopefully, continue to make it feel good and move it correctly. That's the other thing, if you have like a strain or something, you want to make sure you move with good technique when you do have sort of injury, because that's where things break down, when technique breaks down, for the most part. But this is the second one. Make sure we just finish a little bit better than the last one. It's much better. Try to really focus on accelerating once I got past the knee, and that put it in a really good spot. It's nice, the tightness of the back is staying like in the same level. Like it's not increasing, which is good. I was really worried I'd come out and warm up and just like it would keep cramping, or like I'd have like a really tight sensation with it and I wouldn't be able to do anything. But thankfully, it's not this. I wouldn't say it's loosening up, but I would say that if I had to, like if someone broke in and said you have to max out your snatch, I could definitely do a lot more, even with it like this. But I wouldn't want to, of course. But why do people like bodybuilding? They ask about bench press. Nice proud chest before the lift. I think I know what you mean if you're referring to like weightlifting technique, but the translation is a bit off. I assume you mean like a big chest, or like open my chest up. When you say proud chest, I'm thinking of like going like this before I lift, like a gorilla. I got chalk all over my shirt, but big proud chest. But I don't bench press anymore. When I did, it was 150 kilos or 330. But I did that a while ago, several years at this point, so I haven't tried to push it forever. Nor do I do the lift. Alright, so this is the third single. The progression I had in the last little block of training was to work up to a weight for a single, then the next time do it for 3, and then the next time increase the weight for a single, then essentially keep going by that. So I do 90, then do 90 for 3 singles, and then go to 100 for 3 singles, so on and so forth. And that went really well because the focus was back squat, so it wasn't really any pressure on the weightlifting to necessarily progress, but it did. So I'm resetting it back to the 90, and instead of doing a single and then coming back and doing 3 singles, I'm going to do 5 singles and then the next time just increase the weight potentially, and that's all kind of depending on how good the back does feel. Um, I don't know if my thing was connected to the Bluetooth, so I don't know if the sound just changed there, but maybe it did. Let me know if the sound, if it was better with the Bluetooth thing on. I don't know if the mic is better on that, if they have it connected to the phone and whatnot. Because normally I have it there for music, but obviously with that I don't. So maybe that's better. maybe I just lowered the quality. Let me know though, because I literally just turned it off when I reached forward there. All right, third single. Same thing. Trying to be patient, but accelerate it once it's past my knee. That felt about as good. Feels pretty feels the technique feels good, which is nice. Usually, if there's some sort of musculature issue, it kind of can throw off technique. So I wonder if it just switched over to my phone when I had it on Bluetooth. Yeah, I mean, I just don't really like the idea of thinking about my chest when I do any sort of weightlifting movement. I hear people say it, but to me, um, the cues related to it don't really work in my brain. I think because I'm good at deadlifts and pulls, that the idea of keeping your chest open is that you're tightening your back. For me, it's really natural for me to tighten my lats and stuff, and so getting myself tight, which makes your chest open, is more natural for me to think about. So I mean, the idea, if I make my chest open, it's gonna, squeeze my lats. I just squeeze my lats. It does the same thing, and that's the kind of the thing with cues is the cues that people give are related to a biomechanical thing that you're trying to change, or two biomechanics that you're trying to improve upon. So whether that's a proud chest to really lock yourself in to make sure you're not crunched forward, or you're open in that sense but you're tight in your back. If you're pushing with your legs, just keep your hips low. It's like you have to be able to go back to what it's actually working on, and then think about, for me, I don't necessarily think about a cue while I'm doing the actual lift. I think about the feeling I'm trying to exhibit. So when I'm thinking about fast past the knee, I don't think about that when I'm actually doing the lift. I'm literally just feeling it, feeling it, feeling it. All right, I know I need to accelerate, but it's not the words, it's the feeling that's going through my head. So cues, are something you can think about before a lift, but for me, they don't really work if I'm actually lifting, and I'm just trying to feel the feeling that I'm trying to create, which itself you can describe in cues or describe in different ways. But for me, that's why I don't think I'd be a very good coach, because the cues for me are more of a description of what I'm trying to feel, and when I'm lifting, I'm not thinking of back or tight or anything, even a single word. It's literally just trying to do it correctly, and it's the feeling that you're trying to get. When I'm thinking accelerate past the knee, I'm not thinking fast or anything different. I'm just feeling it, feeling it, feeling it. All right, now we try to elicit that change. So I guess the foot stomp. um, I don't really think about stomping my feet either, so that's kind of a very cultural thing to stomp your feet more or less. But for me, I just do it, and I think because the wood, it makes it louder, which definitely has a nice aesthetic to it. But I don't think about my feet at all. We're gonna do 100. Maybe not the best choice, but my knee's feeling good enough, and nothing's musculature from a muscle standpoint is getting worse. So try to do the same thing, accelerate it past the knee, and get it to a good position. It's definitely more weight, but I feel like I'm still putting in a good spot, which is good. So we'll do the last single there as well, and maybe that'll be an adjustment that I make. 3 singles, they feel good. Then to add more for the last 2 sets, so to do 5 total singles together. Maybe that'll be another adjustment. So that's one of the things the last couple days, even outside of the muscle strain, is to recalibrate as I continue to kind of linearly progress the back squat weight and decrease the reps that I'm doing each set. Try to figure out how the weightlifting is going to fit in with it, so I can still work at it and not necessarily just do the same thing every single time I do sessions with it. So because my weightlifting's been going well, so I don't really want to necessarily just do 90 and then stop there forever, and then progress really slowly. You want to continue to move up. So that was 100 there. We're not going to go up again because that was definitely weight-wise felt a little heavy, but wasn't necessarily the like it didn't feel bad, but definitely it's a good challenging weight. So we'll do it one more time, and then hopefully get to a clean jerk. Those will be like, those might not feel good because the front squat, and I just tighten up a little bit there, but doesn't do it when I'm lifting, just when I'm twisting a little bit, which hopefully I'm not twisting while I'm lifting. But do one more single here, then take our time, go down. I'm going to strip it all the way to the bar and warm up for clean jerks for a while and make sure it's not tightening up, because that's kind of the thing, is like, if nothing's getting worse, it is good to continue to exercise and to go through this range of motion, because it will continue to heal everything but also build everything continually. But if it's feeling worse or tightening up worse, then obviously it'd be a buffoon to keep trying to lift through it. So it's staying the same. If anything, it's getting a little bit better, and it's a positive thing for sure. And it's cool because like mentally right now I'm like, I want to go to 110, so I know that I'm not going to be apprehensive about doing 100 again. And what I find is like, if you can always kind of maintain that desire, like I kind of want to jump up another 10 kilos and try 110, but I know it wouldn't be that smart to do logically. It's good to have that desire, because that tells you that the weight's moving well enough, it's feeling easy enough. Obviously, the goal right now on this session is to make sure I'm not aggravating anything in my muscle strain, but also to try to train as normally as possible. So not to try to go back all the way to ground zero, because I'm not really that hurt that bad if I'm still able to lift normally. All right, last single at 100 here. So did 3 at 90, and this will be the second at 100. Good. I was slightly out in front, but the catch is just feeling really solid, which is really nice. So I really thought that at some point it would like tighten up or like twinge at some point, but as I've been warming up, it's just sore, which is very manageable to work through. So it's really good. And because my back squats today are at 140 at the most, I know I can kind of push through those and really maintain a good position. If they aggravate, then I'll have to push them off. But We'll do some clean jerks now. Definitely got to go all the way to the bar. Normally I just go right to 70, but probably not the smart thing to do today. We still will go to 70 as the first jump, but I want to spend some time at the bar. But really happy with the snatches. They all felt like I was putting them in a really good spot. The first 90 I did was the worst one, but the rest after, the other 3, and then the 2 out of 100 felt really good. I was getting them to that proper position behind my back, or I guess in my center of balance, and nothing was getting aggravated. So really good for just, not even just like, oh, my back doesn't feel worse. Like I actually felt like it was productive, which is by far the best thing that could have happened today. But thank you, Big Chungus. I like your name, Mr. Chungus. That Bugs Bunny meme, it's a classic. But I have Big Chungus is. I use that as a username somewhere. I forget where, but maybe it's on like Discord or something. But I don't really. I think it's like Twitter or X or whatever. Like I have accounts, but like they're not active. Certainly not on X. I don't know if I think I made an account so I could look at if there's a tweet for like breaking news for mostly like maybe like a football injury. That's usually what I found is like the most or the quickest way to find time sensitive information when something very quickly happens. Someone breaks your leg, something like that. Deshaun Watson's leg explodes from all the bad karma he built up. I guess that's where your karma resides is in your joints. If you get enough bad of it, it just explodes. So I like how I lift weights, and I have an Akron, Arkansas, and Mount Union flag, but everyone focuses on the American flag, which is not the worst thing. It's just kind of funny. It's like I'm just lifting weights. But just type in the Big Chungus meme and you'll see it's just a fat Bugs Bunny. I'm surprised if you have the name Big Chungus, I'm surprised you don't know who that is. But thankfully, even now, back is not tightening up or anything, which is good. So we definitely, don't want to be having that. But to do 3 singles at 90, 2 at 100, honestly was surprised I was able to do any of them. I thought I would be a little too sore to do it, so I was apprehensive. That's why I actually waited a while. I was mentally ready to train at like 1 o'clock this afternoon, but I was like, I knew I needed the wait to give myself as much time to just let my body get as recovered as possible before trying to come out and do weight. But a 400 kilogram deadlift, that would be pretty lit. I've done 305, but I don't think I'm adding 95 kilograms to my deadlift anytime soon. I think I would need a hydraulic press or lift or some sort of mechanical advantage that I don't have naturally. But do some jerks at the bar. See how the front squats feel, because that's what I hurt myself on yesterday. Well, there's no discomfort. It's just kind of like a dull soreness, which is manageable. Honestly, the worst is like I lean over and it will like start to cramp a little bit when I'm doing actually moving the bar. It feels fine. So definitely could be worse. I've definitely done a lot worse um, as far as strains and stuff. So thankfully, I'm a bit of an expert in that regard. But get the wrist wraps back on. We'll just use the red knee wraps today. Run my belt out. So if we do up to 125, we might throw that on. I don't really feel like using my sleeves or my heavier knee wraps. Just stretching and like hot shower, ibuprofen, the kind of like basic stuff. But the biggest thing to speed up recovery is to not make a thing worse, so not to re-injure it. That's the only thing that I found that has made it so much worse is if you have a strain or something, some sort of issue, and then you retweak it. That at that point, it's like exponentially worse to recover from. But like now, if it stays how it is, I'm basically, not trying to do maximal front squats or something crazy today, and I don't like re-strain it, then it will probably honestly be mostly fine by tomorrow. So and it's only on one side, which is weird, but um, it's like below my ribs, so like I guess like a lat strain. But based on the fact that snatches, nothing felt worse as I was doing them, and if anything, like it was feeling a little bit better. It tells me that the body in general is not necessarily compensating for it, but it's not like a huge thing. And thankfully, with like a snatch, really, with a lot of movements that I'm doing today, it's not a back dominant thing where maintaining the rigidity of my back is going to be the most difficult part of the lift. Like if I was trying to do, a front squat or a good morning or something like that, or a deadlift, probably not the smartest thing to go heavy on those today. But yeah, the stretching, the hot shower, this trying to be pay attention to it, I guess, is it may not sound like a good thing to do, but just pay attention to how I'm interacting throughout the day with it. And that was kind of like the big thing because it's Saturday, so it wasn't like at work or anything. And just trying to be cautious about it, not trying to move in any sort of way to something I've done in the past that's been bad is overstretching, and not that stretching itself is bad, but if I have like, oh, this is tight, I'm just going to stretch it as hard as I can to make it feel better as fast as possible. And stretching, when you stretch really aggressively, it can actually make things worse in some ways, but also it's a way to like make your muscles sore, because it does like strain your muscles when you are aggressively stretching. So just trying to gently stretch and make sure that as I'm stretching, that it's progressively feeling better, and I'm not trying to, like the one, kind of the main stretch I was feeling good for it was just twisting and anything to kind of stretch my lat. And so just trying to do it gently and being really aware if I'm doing it on one side to try to mimic on the other side so I can maintain that balance with that. So the basic stuff that you do, just being more cautious and cognizant about it, and not trying to stretch it in half like I've done in the past with an injury. Try to force it to be healthy, and that's just not how your muscles work. If anything, it will make it regress or tighten more up. But to be honest, the stretching has felt good with it today, so that was kind of one of the things that told me that I could probably lift fine was as I was stretching, it wasn't getting worse. If anything, like I said, it was feeling better the more I did it, or as I was doing the stretch. Like it felt like when your muscles are sore and you're stretching them. This is really how it felt. Wasn't getting any like cramping or like twinges or anything like that. It was just a tight muscle, which is basically what happens anytime you lift a weight. So it's not even like a radical concept. Like if your legs are sore, they're going to be tighter, more difficult to stretch. So it's similar to that. It's just more, just right on one part of my back. That's why I'm actually lifting at the house today and not going to the gym on a day like this when I'm doing snatch clean jerks. I've been going to the gym more frequently, and I was planning on to today, but I was like, I don't want to drive all the way there, and then my back's too tight to lift, and then just not have anything to do, which I could have pressed and done other stuff, but when the crux of my workout is snatch, clean jerk, and back squats, and I can't do those three lifts, then I'm really limited on what I could do, and much less risky to come out here if I was, too sore or too tight or whatever. Something didn't feel right. Just walk back in the house. But so far so good. So be cautious with this. Based on how the bar felt, I shouldn't really have any discomfort as long as I maintain rigidity. Interesting, the most discomfort I felt was setting up for the clean, but the actual lift felt good. Granted, it's only 70, so it's not like I'm really fighting that weight, but it's interesting. The setup was the worst comfort, or the most discomfort. So, probably end up doing, if I can, so this was really subjective, but treat it like the clean jerk or the snatch, where I had a lighter weight where I did for 2 singles. For clean jerks, less, because it is more difficult. What's up, Lucas? Maybe do 125 for 2 singles, and then do 140 for a single. But that's going to be really, how the back feels. I'm going to go to 100 now, though. 100 and 125. And we'll actually throw the belt on for this as well. Not that it's going to necessarily protect my back, but let's give it some more potential support. It's one thing I didn't have on yesterday was my belt, which doesn't necessarily protect your back that much, but it does allow you to kind of push through something. Yeah, that's why I actually changed up my training, was to kind of get my shoulder. It's been like at 95% to get it back to 100. I'd say it's pretty close to 100 now, but right now my focus is trying to increase my back squat. And so as I get towards the beginning of 2025 and towards the spring, there'll be more focus on trying to push the lifts a lot more. But now I'm just trying to kind of build the whole base so I can attack the lifts and start approaching like 130, 170, and then snatch a clean jerk. A little bit more discomfort, but not too bad. Yeah, this is 100, so I'm going to do 125 now. For weightlifting, to get stronger. Well, a bit too, I don't know if I'm gonna go live in China. So I'm a little worried about the clean, but I should be alright. If I feel anything weird, I might just dump it right away. So we'll be cautious with that. If I get it all the way up, jerk will be fine for the most part. Thankfully, jerk was just kind of bad technique, but didn't feel too bad. Definitely could have done a better jerk though. So we're actually gonna do it again. We're gonna see if I can do my theoretical plan of 125 for 2. Take the sweatshirt off, see if that helps. Probably not, but I mean, I do competitions every once in a while, but like once a year, so mostly recreational. And then max. You running a no. Max, and this is ever is 166. You don't need that for a 125 clean and jerk. Yeah, like I've cleaned 175, I think, or 176. I think 175 is my best clean, and it's either 175 or 76, but I think it's 75. So I've cleaned more than what I can clean and jerk, of course, but yeah, you certainly don't need it for weights like this. That's for sure. But all right, do 125 again. Make the jerk better. That was a lot better. Jerk actually felt pretty snappy. So that's 2 at 125. So we are going to try good old 140 for one single. Then back squat. so far so good. Nothing's gotten worse. Nothing's been aggravated. So it's well, I always so when I catch a clean, I pitch forward a little bit just from the way I'm built, and so I'm always gonna go forward a little bit. So I can't stay perfectly upright just because I'm 5'11", but no, Saturn, I'm not giving you any advice. No advice for you. All right, so Power Belly. We're doing 140 here. I hope that we're all Gucci for some back squats. So those I really don't mind. I would like to do the back squats at 140 as well as this, same weight as here, but I'm okay pushing it, letting them drop a little bit because I'm doing 5 sets of 6. So as long as I hit the number of reps, then I'll be okay. Especially to not make anything worse. All right. It wasn't the best rep in the world, but honestly, did a pretty good job with it. Nothing feels worse. Jerk was pretty decent. Clean was pretty decent. Most importantly, my back didn't explode. Whew. But my body's always leaning forward a little bit on cleans and front squats. I would actually get hurt trying to power clean it. A 148 power clean for me would be really good. Best ever power clean is 147, and that was an aberration. I've only done it once, and my best before that was 143. And I've only done that like once or twice. I'm really bad at power cleans. I think because I'm just mobile. But it doesn't make me worse at power cleans. I'm just better at getting underneath. Plus, I have found over the years of doing them for the way that I'm built, power cleans have never correlated to my clean being better. So I've never been really motivated to push them hard because they don't make my clean better. Doing cleans makes my clean better than squatting, but power cleans, they're good for, it's a good movement. I'm not dogging on the movement, but I wouldn't try to do them to increase my clean. We will power clean 70 up though. I don't mean to brag, but 70 powerlifting is pretty easy for me. There you go. Well, I'm not exploding, which is good. I don't do just powerlifting. I don't do powerlifting at all. I do Olympic weightlifting. Does a clean and jerk. Is this powerlifting? Tis not. I don't know how many powerlifters are doing full snatches and clean and jerks. My guess is not very many of them. But well, either my back's loosening up, or the ibuprofen's working, or a combination of both, which is more likely, which is good. So you should never depend on anti-inflammatories just to lift, but if you are, have, a particular part that's tight and it's a temporary thing to kind of make sure that you're not going to, make anything worse, then I think it's a good thing to use. But I don't necessarily avoid it. I just don't use it a lot because you don't want to depend on painkillers to just do normal training. But probably, well, no, I wouldn't have any. 140 for me doesn't invoke a lot of adrenaline because my best is 166. So it's not easy, but it's not one that I'm like having to freak out to do. I did it without music, without a ton of hype, and kind of casually. Same with like the snatch. Like, it's not easy. I have to think about it while I'm doing it, but I'm not freaking out to go insane to do it. So it's just you're thinking more about the technique than just being aggressive. Once it gets to a certain weight, then you're not really thinking about anything other than just being strong and aggressive. Oopsie. But the goal with back squats today is to back squat 140 for 4 to 5 sets of 6. We'll definitely use the belt. Legs feel fine, so don't worry about getting the bigger sleeves on. So they slide around a little bit, and well, that Colombian guy, his will just literally fall off. But for me, the what's his face? I know it's Rivas. I forget his first name. I know it's like Jonathan Rivas or something. But I do it just because they slide around when you're doing the lifts. Particularly, well, all kind of knee wraps do that, and it's nice to just kind of redo them because it kind of realigns them where I want them to be. And not that they were sliding around a ton, but it's nice when you're in between lifts. It's less important with these sleeves. When I have the heavier ones on, I'll take them on and off a lot because they are actually like tight, and when they bench up, they cut off the circulation. These are much closer to the like fabric normal like cloth knee sleeves, so these I don't crank super tight, just as a little bit of compression, and they just feel nice to have on. But the I have it right here. Wow. These ones are definitely like heavy ones that I would have to they actually cut off the circulation a little bit when they bunch up because they're just a denser material. If I was doing heavy lifts, I would have these on. But these are nice. These red ones are nice for like the normal training like today, where I'm not maxing out or anything. I don't have any like sort of ailment that I'm trying to work around. I'm just having some compression on. Because I always find, even if I'm doing like literally just muscle snatches and stuff, I like having them on just because they feel nice. And I think a lot of it's mental, because they really aren't providing a lot of support. Scooch, I have been lifting for an hour. Are you that dumb? Are you dumb? I think he's dumb. You hate to see it. You hate to see a dumb guy. Hate to see dumb people. But just for Scooch, we'll warm up for back squats. If I feel anything weird on these, and I won't do them today. I'm already happy to get some training in today. Really, most of it, 2/3 of what I was thinking of potentially even being able to do. So back squats would be nice, but don't want to make anything worse. All right. Feel all right. So we'll go up to 120. But the big Scooch is very upset. Big Chungus, that's something that Dylan Cooper said that has no evidence in reality. Like, you realize how hard you would have to tighten something around your leg to actually lengthen your tendon? Like that, when he said that, that's when you realize that just because you're strong, even if he has good programs, doesn't mean you understand like physiology. The, the idea of it's just casually, yeah, I mean, my tendons are getting so lengthened from this stretchy fabric that's on it. It's actually wild to think that your tendons would get stretched out, um, because the heavier wraps will allow you to lift more because they provide more of a stretch reflex, just like with the knee sleeves, because they provide you more of a bounce out of the hole. They don't stretch your ligaments and your tendons out. It's, if it did, like, and this is how you know it's not a true statement. If it truly, like, wraps and sleeves lengthened your tendons, you would just rip them all the time. You would see people who would do, like, weightlifters all the time exploding, just all of their joints. And you just don't, it's just not something that you see, because it just doesn't. It's just, like, lengthening your tendons is just, I remember him saying that. It was just a wild statement, just thrown as like, oh yeah, it's just like, of course they would lengthen your tendons. Like, my goodness, the amount of force, the amount of force you would have to exert, like on my, let's say my patella tendon, because that would be one of the tendons that would stretch. Like, I would have to crank my legs so hard, like have like someone tie it to a car and pull it away for that tendon to stretch. So like the idea that it's stretching anything is just it's wild. It's a wild thing. Um, but no, so sleeve it's just like a belt. Is a belt on me that I'm using to push into going to lengthen a tendon in my back? Like, it's the idea of any sort of equipment like that. It's to lift more weight. So if you have wraps or a belt on, it's to lift more weight. There is a subjective feeling that I get that they feel like it makes my joint feel better, and it creates more warmth because you have layers on it. So there is some subjective feeling that it feels good to have on, but the fact that you know you could always use a light knee wrap. There's a lot of people that do that, but I vary it kind of based on what kind of training I'm doing on a certain day. If I'm in a competition, I will use these for snatches because you can get a bit deeper with them. With the tighter ones, because they prevent a little bit of range of motion, just slightly, but it's very minuscule. I've done snatches with my knee sleeves on. It doesn't make much of a difference, but yeah, it's like I don't know how. Like put sleeves on. Put something on your knee. Like just think. I don't know how it stretches anything on your leg at all. It compresses, but the actual stretching, like I don't know what he's doing. If he's putting like a baseball behind his knee and like trying to stretch his leg around it or something, I don't know. But he's you can just say stuff. That's for sure. My ligaments, all my ligaments are being stretched out. All right. So we'll do this for a single and see how it feels, and then my working sets will be at 140 in theory. So nothing bad there. We'll go ahead and do the first set. Let's try to bang them out. Try not to stretch my ligaments too much. Really, lengthen my tendons with ace bandages. But in real talk, the actual mechanistic way that wraps and sleeves work is that when your joint is fully in a fully closed position, if you have layers underneath it, it makes that distance less between the bottom of your leg and the top of it. So you're able to push off the actual fabric. That's why powerlifter knee wraps are like crazy good, is they prevent you from physically going into that bottom position. But for weightlifting, we still want that full range of motion. So it's not a crazy knee wrap like a powerlifter would have. You still want to get that full range of motion. So it's actually not even preventing your leg from going into the full squat or whatever. What it does is provides, for the tighter knee wraps, it has layers, so then it's pushing against that. So it creates a facade that your leg's bigger than what it actually is. So you're able to stretch reflex a little bit more. And the knee sleeves, similar thing. If doing a maximum squat or something, I want the knee sleeves, that's going to be a consistent feeling in that bottom. With knee wraps, it's less consistent because they slide around a little bit, but for training like today, it's not a big deal. But they feel nice and warm. That's literally the biggest thing, and I think they help me. I've done sessions before, and I don't frequently do it, to where I've taken my knee wraps off as I get the heavier weights because I like to have them on as I'm warming up, and then I've taken them off. I don't do it very often, but I'd much rather put them on as I'm warming up and then take them off. But in a sense, I'm dependent on them because they feel good. But it's like, is anyone dependent on a belt? Like, it just makes you lift more weight. It makes the lifts feel easier. So it's like, yeah, but like you can kind of just always use them. It's not like I'm gonna have to walk down the street and randomly do a snatch. Like I'm gonna be able to warm up for it and stuff. Um, so it's like, yeah, like you can be dependent on equipment and stuff, but at the same time, it's like everyone's dependent on the stuff that they use to lift. It's like chalk. Like I could probably still lift without chalk, but my hands are naturally sweaty, so it makes it significantly easier to always have chalk on my hands. But it makes my hands grippier, so it's cheating. But I'm very dependent on chalk. Like I don't know. It's a facade of an argument. The only reason that you should train without a belt too, and this is something I think like Johnny Candido or someone was saying, that you should basically always train with belt because you can use more force, you can lift more. Hey Mohammed, you can lift more weight. But in terms of weightlifting, if you use your belt for snatching and for clean and jerks, then probably you can just always wear your belt as much as you want. But if you don't use a belt for snatching, you should do training without your belt, and that's like the specificity part of weightlifting. Because if you're not going to do snatch with the belt, you do have to build some strength without a belt. Not that it's like a huge difference or anything like that, but you should do training without a belt if you don't snatch with the belt. If you can do, you don't really have to. It's not like it's a tool to lift more weight, but you don't always have to have it on. Nor do I always have it on. It's just purely preference. And today my back's tight, so I'm trying to give myself, make the 140s in theory as easy as possible. So let's hit this 140. Let's hope that it feels okay. I don't know if I'll be able to do 5 sets or even 4. So we'll just see. Don't want to make anything worse. Well, that felt really easy, so I'm really happy. And speaking of my knee wraps, we're actually going to retime. So they're sliding around a little bit. And I guess the other reason I do it a little bit is it makes me have to wait longer before I do my next lift. So it's kind of like a fidget. Weightlifter's fidget spinner is redoing their knee wraps. But they do move around when you are squatting and moving. It was good though. I was worried that I'd feel some discomfort, but honestly felt really easy. Ligaments are nice and loosened up now. I've stretched my tendons. I would need some medieval torture device to actually stretch my ligaments and tendons. Oh, it's funny you mention that because I distinctly remember Dylan Cooper saying that and going like, excuse me, what? How does that even work? The tendons are so long. If anything, it would probably make them like constrict more because you're able to lift more weight, or you feel like you lift more weight, so they can get more tendonitis. Although that's inflammation. But like either way, even if you hurt your tendons, it just rips if it stretches. So it's not like it's lengthening, but you can get like tendon inflammation. That's not really lengthening. That's just inflammation. I don't know. When someone says something so ridiculous that it makes no logical sense, then you can kind of just dismiss it. But it's not a. There's a lot of people that are really strong and good at lifting and may have a very high understanding of some things, but does not make them, including myself included, a super knowledgeable person about every different concept. So it's important to question people, even if they seem like an expert in their field. As soon as they speak about something that's not in their field, in the case of, Cooper knows a lot about weightlifting and stuff, but as soon as you start speaking about, joints and tendons and stuff, I'm gonna guess that he's probably not as much of an expert as that, as relative to what he knows about weightlifting. Maybe he's a secret PhD, but based on people he's around in his love life, probably not. I'm not really sure what you mean by this statement. All strong squatters use belts. Powerlifters and weightlifters alike will use sleeves. But I don't know. I don't think belts are that uncommon for people that are serious about lifting. I think a lot of people don't use belts in like a commercial gym because they just don't buy one. And they don't think about using them. And it's not necessary. Like a belt allows you to lift more weight. If you don't care about that, you're just lifting to just lift, then don't use anything. If you hurt, just stop. And then you don't have to. But most people who lift want to continue past that point of discomfort or give themselves the ability to lift more weight, which is what the belt does. Increases intra-abdominal pressure. Set number 2. Well, my back feels fantastic, so I guess we gotta keep squatting. When I did my big set with 200 the other day, I had the most oxymoronic feeling before it. I was like, well, if it feels heavy, obviously, you're not successful towards the goal that I wanted to do with it, but it's like, man, I only had to do 1 rep. Like, when first it felt good, I'm like, man, I'll be able to do a couple reps and it's going to get hard. But, strong squatters use both belts and wraps sleeves. Yeah, they allow you to lift more weight. That's why people use them. They help make your legs feel better, feel tighter, give you more of a bounce, and just make you lift more weight. And anyone that's lifted long enough can tell you, make squats, and I feel less of a benefit from the belt with deadlifts, but no benefit from sleeves with deadlifts for sure. But usually I just leave them on if I've done other lifts just because they're already on. It doesn't make it any harder, more difficult, but yeah, if I'm just doing a pull or a deadlift for whatever reason, I don't need really anything on my knees. Maybe just like these red wraps, just so I can feel the same thing I always feel, that little bit of compression. But and once you lift long enough, you realize that belts and sleeves, when properly used, do help a lot. How much? It's really subjective with how you're built. That is for sure. But most people use belts regardless of how long they're training. Yeah, I don't know. People do weird stuff in commercial gyms. Thankfully, I go to a private gym now, so most people who are there are more serious about lifting. They're not casuals. So better to be around. Probably a big piece of advice if you are trying to get stronger. Just go be around strong people if you can. Even if you're in a commercial gym, just be friends with people that are strong. That's what I did for years. I would still be lifting at the gym if they didn't change the layout, but alas, they changed the gym, so I had to leave. But stuff like that's gonna happen. But honestly, I'm really shocked at how good these are feeling. I thought my back would just be, I thought I would do well in the snatch, or at least like do some. And then I thought maybe clean jerks was gonna aggravate it. And I was like, back squats for sure. I'm like, I keep waiting for it, but it's not. And they're moving easy, which is good. So the 3rd set here. I kind of feel like I'll be able to do all 5 too, which is nice. So I'm trying to do, the way I'm progressing squats is I did 3 sets of 10, 3 times, and then a top set of 10, and then went back to 4 sets of 8. So staying around that 30 to 32 reps, and went back down to 130, 155, 175, and then rep max with 200. Essentially did, wanted to do it for 8, did it for 7. And then now doing 5x6 here at 140, and then maybe jump to 165 the next time I do it, and then 185 or something, above it, and then a top set of 6 reps, and I keep progressing that way until maybe I could do like a 230 for a double, but that's kind of down the line. Just building, and squats are going really well, so I kind of want to keep this progression going because I don't see a reason to stop. Obviously if I'm hurting, but from like a programming standpoint, think that was 6. It's hard to count reps. Counting is hard. But they're moving really easy, which is good. Thank you, SGL. Henrico, I am 8'2". I weigh 500 kilograms. The key is to just tie rocks to your legs and then weigh yourself, and then you gain weight really quickly. I like to put rocks in my shoes as well as tape various size rocks throughout my body, and then boom, big weight, big weight. Blow out your shoulders. That's good. I hurt my shoulder back in May of this year at the last competition I did. I was trying to snatch 130, and it's been a while trying to get back, and I really got to a month ago at this point, and I was struggling. Like, I had snatched 120 and then missed 125, but it was like my left arm just wasn't rotating as fast as my right. So I was like, all right, my shoulder's at like 95%. Like, I wasn't having pain, or just a little bit tighter, and I was like, I gotta reassess what I'm doing. And essentially that meant just going lower in the weightlifting stuff and prioritizing squats like I'm doing now, and trying to build those up while doing mobility and stretching and massage and everything for the left shoulder. And it's been improving. Even like the snatches today, like I'm getting it not necessarily further behind than I otherwise would, but I'm getting it into that locked out position behind my head in a consistent way, and nothing's aggravating it. I'm not having to like warm up a lot. I can do like a snatch grip press without warming up. I do snatch and clean and jerk, so I don't do the big 3. Time to do set number 4. Well, my best back squat is 520. My best bench, I don't do it anymore, is 330. Best deadlift is 672. For weightlifting, my best snatches from ever is 135 from the floor with straps, 132 without, and in competition 126. And then clean and jerk best ever is 166. Best clean is 175. Best jerk is 166 too. It's the same as my best clean and jerk. And yeah. So I'm good at deadlifts. Alright, 4 set. They've actually been really easy. I guess because I'm like really focused on staying like upright. I'm really locked in, making sure I don't, strain anything. Alright. Alright, well, I can't say my back is cured, but certainly not getting worse. Thank you, SGL. Yeah, my deadlift is hilariously high. Well, the way that I got my shoulders, and I would say they're probably as close to 100% as they're ever going to be, is lowering the weight, focusing on mobility, but kind of lifting based on the tolerance of my shoulder. So I just meant lifting lighter until it felt good with the lighter weights. And then on alternate days where I wasn't snatching or doing clean jerks, to do some snatch grip pressing until it, at a really light weight, so I was able to get into that range of motion. because that was the issue I was having. It would just get stuck out here a little bit, and so I would miss a snatch. Even if I was locked out, it was rolled forward a little bit. So I was really just trying to stretch it back, get the shoulders to be symmetrical in that regard. But stretching, going through the range of motions that you want to use are critical to recovery, because you can do all the fancy rehab stuff that you want, but if you want to be able to do snatches or clean and jerks, you have to find motions that are going to mimic them or actually go through them and do them and practice, doing them pain free. That's something I think Kelly Starrett's talked about, is like pain free movement, but it's not necessarily you have to avoid the pain entirely, but you have to keep it light until the discomfort's gone, and then you slowly build up from there and be able to focus on it. Like if your shoulders are bad, focus on squats a lot. It takes your mind off the pressure of, I got to snatch and clean and jerk. It allows you to focus on something that is going to be beneficial. It's obviously helpful to increase your squat, but it's going to take the pressure off. Like, I have to get up to this snatch or whatever. It's like, nah, like I'm just gonna snatch what I can do on a day and get the back squats in. That's been a mentally thing that's helped me as well. As I've done this like couple weeks, is like the back squats are the focus. So everything I do, I gotta make sure I get the back squats and progress those. If I snatch well or clean jerk well, that's a bonus. You obviously always want to do them well, but I'm not worried about getting up to, whatever particular number. But that was actually 4 sets, so this will be our last set, and I'm actually kind of stoked. I really didn't think I was going to train normally today. I mentioned this before, but I was planning on going to the actual gym to do this session, even though it would have been the same numbers, because I wasn't sure if my back was going to cooperate with me, and it's been feeling really good, which is really surprising, which kind of gives me more evidence that it's definitely a muscle strain, and I don't have anything serious, especially if I'm training mostly normally. Obviously the weights are lighter too, so that happen to correlate well with that, but tells me that I'm good to go. Maybe another night's sleep, and tomorrow it will feel probably, I'd say right now, based on how it's feeling, I'd say it's probably at like 65-70% of being normal. There is some discomfort, but like I'm not feeling it when I'm doing the range of motion. And to get to that 85-90% of being normal, I don't want to feel it, and I don't want to feel any sort of cramp, spasming or cramping when I'm moving around, which ironically when I started squatting I haven't felt at all. It was just during snatching, so that part's already improved. Alright, last set of 6 here. Squats look easy today, because they should be, because I did the 200 for 7 earlier this last week, and so that was like a PR for reps for 200. Obviously a really heavy weight for anyone to do, but particularly for me. And so then I dropped back down, decreased the reps, while increasing the amount of sets that I do, so the reps stay the same for the most part. And then instead of starting at 130, I'm starting at 140 here, and so just make little adjustments and kind of just keep doing waves of progressions like that. I would like to do a set of 6 with like 210 to 215 at the end of this couple days or this week or whatever of squats. I don't know if that's possible, but if I did 200 for 210 for like 3, that would be really good. And it's kind of the goal, so I want to make these, build into them, of course. That's what I'm doing today. So last set of 6. Even able to pause the last rep. So it sets me up good for maybe Monday when I do this session again to, snatch and clean jerk, whatever, but to do like 165 with those sets of 6 and continue to build those up. But we're actually kind of stoked. She makes me feel a lot better than I was throughout the day mentally. So I was worried about, aggravating something or not being able to lift for a couple days. I almost didn't lift today. I'm glad I did. Glad I came out and tried it. And that's probably the biggest piece of advice I give people if you have an injury is still train, but obviously don't be a buffoon. If anything, go out and warm up because movement itself is healing and it's how you recover. So like if you have a really sore legs from squats, from any lift, it's really not until you do them again to where you feel good. So everything's like more recovered. So I like training every day. So even if I feel terrible, you still get the benefit of exercise and mobility. It's a very satisfying training session, I must say. I guess that's probably a bonus piece of advice is don't be scared if you're hurt to train, because most injuries you'll know when it's bad, and if you're unsure, then it's probably a good sign that it's not too bad. And if you just have tightness and soreness a little bit, there's still a lot you can do. If you have twinges or like sharp pains, kind of like nerve pains too, that's a good indicator that you done messed up something and you need to really chill out. Maybe go seek a doctor, but thankfully most injuries you do are musculature or onto muscles or onto your musculature, and so they heal pretty rapidly. It's when it's like tendonitis or tendinosis or a joint issue or some sort of back injury. I always noticed back ones take the longest time to recover, but you kind of use it for everything, so it's kind of hard if like my thoracic, if I have a spasm or something, to train because you have to use it for everything. Like my shoulders hurt or my wrists hurt, there's a lot you can still do, but if your back's messed up, it makes life very annoying. Makes it really hard to work around. But really happy with how training ended up today. Pleasantly surprised. Back actually feels better now than it did at the beginning, but I have to see tomorrow and assess if the if it tightens up crazily overnight or something like that. But based on how it loosened up throughout the day and how it loosened up during training, I'm gonna guess it's gonna feel better tomorrow. And that's kind of always the mindset that you want to have, because if you think it's gonna feel worse, it's probably gonna feel worse. Well, even not even jerks with the empty bar, like you could press and you can get a lot of productive work with the press, but you can also go through that range of motion. So like use my thing for example, like the snatch grip pressing. I'm not trying to do snatch balances and overhead squats or even snatch push press. It was literally empty bar, press above here, get it all the way down to my traps and back up. And I'm larger now, so that's actually like a little bit, I'd say normally tight, just because I have a lot of upper body mass now to get it all the way to my traps. But first day I did it, it was like, all right, this is crackling a little bit, which isn't the end of the world, but like it was kind of uncomfortable until I did it a little bit, and then kept the weight the same until it felt, too easy. And that told me that it's recovering. I'm building some, muscle mass, hopefully, in that area and going through that range of motion. So for the jerk, you can practice jerk with an empty bar. There's nothing, wrong with practicing that, but I would just do overhead press if you have this. I'm trying not to hit something above me, but overhead press and really try to practice getting it behind you and seeing how uncomfortable that is. Trying to do a behind the neck overhead press and kind of assessing, not necessarily doing it like, I felt a little weird and then stop, but, do that and be like, all right, I couldn't really do, the behind the neck overhead press today. So the next time I come in, I'm going to try that again and see if the mobility that I'm doing, the, recovery that I'm trying to do for it is working, and then reassess it there. Same as like the overhead press. Like if you can just get the bar, you get it comfortable and you can press and you don't have any like twinges or like tightness or any discomfort, You're like, all right, it's starting to move in the way that it should move, or at least you want it to move. Hopefully, with no pain or like tightness or catching on anything or whatever, and you just build it that way, and then keep the movements the same on the lighter days, and really focus on that. So it's nice to have a gym here at the house. I'm not worried about wasting my gas to go to the gym to do 40 kilogram snatch grip pressing, even though that's what I needed, because I can come out here and do it. So it gives me that good advantage with that. So being able to work on that and then being able to reassess. So find the exercises that are going to put you in the range of motion that you can with as least discomfort as possible, and do other recovery mobilities, whether it's stretching, massage, stuff like that. And then you just go back to those movements in the next day or two or whatever and see if it's improved, if you can, increase the load slightly without having any sort of discomfort. But then once you do increase the weight or you go through that range of motion, to see how it feels the next day. So if I do, the snatch grip press and I do it with 40 or 45 or whatever weight you started with, you look to see the next day, like, all right, did it get super tight and discomfort? And then I know, all right, I did too much, I got to dial it back even further. But if you go the next day and it doesn't feel any different, or it feels even better, which was my case, thankfully, as I did it more, it started to feel better each time I was doing the same weight, as far as the comfort of the range, going through the full range of motion. And so that's when I knew, like, all right, the mobility, everything I'm doing is working in the way that I want. And so I just have to be consistent with it. And consistency is the biggest key with really everything in life, really every single thing that you do in life. But there's not really an exception where consistency isn't a good thing when you're trying to do positive things, I suppose. If you consistently do something bad, then I guess it's bad. But most things you do are good, so you want to do good. But yeah, all right, more reps. Now, I don't know if that's true, Corey. I haven't found that to be the case, but I don't think anyone's gonna come out to my shed to try to get a date with me. That would be a little. I'd be a little freaked out. I'd be a little freaked out. I'm not gonna lie. I might be getting some tool and fighting back. I have lots of random tools out here. This I use for my platform. This is, you can pull nails off. So I'm actually prepared for the zombie apocalypse. I have a hammer back here, so I have a lot of random tools. I have a barbell I could chuck at someone. Probably not the place you want to break into, because I have a lot of crap to throw at you that would not feel very good. But hopefully nobody's coming out here for that kind of stuff. But anyway, guys, appreciate you stopping by. Really happy with how this training went. And I might go live again later, play some chess or something. I did some out of the park baseball, which is like a baseball simulation game. It's not really the topic of my channel, but it was a game I was enjoying playing for a bit. So maybe I go live with that. But I might just do some chess later and relax. But I want to go in, eat some food. I do have some groceries coming in a little bit. But thank you for coming, Big Chungus. You do have the same name as the Instagram person, so hopefully maybe you're the same guy, but maybe not. Anywho, take care, guys. Have a good. Thank you, Big Chungus. I had fun talking with you as well. Appreciate you hanging out during the training. But see you guys later. Deuces.